What's up, everyone? Today we're going over 5 waiver wire ads that'll help you win your fantasy football championship. And we're starting off with a thumbnail, Chase Brown, who just had a monster 19.5 point performance, but is only rostered in 1.4% of leagues. Now, the reason for this is Brown didn't play much to start the year. He was dealing with injuries. He's a late round pick. And in fact, before this week and week 13, he only had 2 carries on the year. Now, he only played 30% of the snaps, only had 8 carries for 25 yards, but was a big component in the receiving game. As you guys can see, 3 targets, had that big touchdown, which propelled him. But the week before, he had 9 carries for 61 yards. He's clearly an efficient back. He's very explosive, and Joe Mixon just isn't it anymore. I know Mixon's probably still going to be the lead back, but I expect Brown to continue his usage as he's been improving every single week in that regards. He's just a talented back. Now, out in the waiver wire, there's really nothing. So if you have a guy like Jonathan Taylor who is injured, you can't make any trades. All you can do is try and fill in at low-end RB2. And Chase Brown kind of reminds me of Keaton Mitchell, but he's in an offense where he's actually going to get touches, and his quarterback isn't running the ball 10 times a game, taking away those carries and that goal line ability. Now, is he going to be, the RB1 in break fantasy football? Probably not. But at this point of the year, he could honestly, explode for a few more big weeks with that big play potential he has. Heading over to our next guy, we have Ezekiel Elliott, who is rostered in 61.6% of leagues. If he's available, please grab him. He honestly could be a league winner if he continues to play like this on the Patriots offense. If not, don't pick up anyone else. You don't want to waste that roster spot for the playoffs. It's not worth it. Don't play a guy that's just bad for the sake of adding him off the waiver wire. Now, last week, we all know he did 27 fantasy points, played 91% of the snaps, and had 22 carries for 68 yards. He's not a great running back anymore. He's not very efficient, 3.1 yards per carry. But more importantly, he had 7 catches for 72 yards. As long as Ramondre Stevenson is out, Ezekiel Elliott is a low-end RB2. Because of the workload, hopefully Bailey Zapp can improve this offense and, make it look playable to the point where you can actually start Ezekiel Elliott. Mac Jones was terrible. I'm not saying Bailey Zapp is an elite quarterback, and I'm a little scared, but he just had a good game. I can't really knock him for that. And hopefully he can continue to lead this Patriots offense to relevancy to the point where you can start Ezekiel Elliott. Again, probably rostered in a fair amount of leagues, but if he's not, go ahead and pick him up. Heading over to our next player, we have Zay Jones, who's rostered in 27.4% of leagues. You see 7.9 fantasy points. You're like, oh, why do I need to pick up Zay Jones? Is he ever going to play for my team? Is he even going to be a flex? Well, the thing is, Zay Jones honestly could be a very viable flex depending on your situation. As with Christian Kirk going down, Zay Jones is stepping into that wide receiver 2 role for the Jaguars. He had 3 less snaps than Calvin Ridley and 3 more snaps than Evan Ingram, playing 84% of the total snaps in the game and drawing 14 targets. That's a massive deal. That is elite wide receiver 1 numbers. I'm not saying Jones is going to be elite wide receiver 1 himself, but the target share he's drawing makes him a must-add player. Early in the year, he exploded for 16.5 points in week 1, got injured. Christian Kirk took over that role. But before then, he was trending in being the wide receiver 2 in this offense, and Kirk was getting dropped down. Obviously, injuries changed all that. But it looks like he's getting in that role that he was very prominent. We've seen fantasy points scored from Christian Kirk. Now, Jones wasn't incredibly efficient, only catching 5 passes for 29 yards. However, a lot of that is just game scenario based on the quarterback play. He's probably going to catch a lot more passes, and when he does, it's going to turn into more yards than 29 yards. The Jaguars are a fair team. Trevor Lawrence isn't out for a long time. In fact, he played last week, which is great news. But let's head over to our next wide receiver, Odell Beckham. Let's turn back the clock as he scored that big touchdown, bringing him to a 19.7 point fantasy day. He's rostered in 15.9% of leagues, so it's honestly a coin flip if he's still there for you. Only played 53% of snaps, but saw 10 targets. We've seen these kind of Cinderella runs before from OBJ from the Rams, where he had that incredible playoff run, despite being a little older, went absolute nuclear and was on pace to win Super Bowl MVP before he went down. Anyone that's getting 10 targets should be on your watch list, and we've seen Odell Beckham do it before. He's still got it to an extent, and I feel like you have to just grab him to see if he is a flex play for you. To wrap things up, we have Jake Browning, who isn't going to be a must-start player, but if you're in a pickle, you need a low-end QB1, he's honestly a fair quarterback play. Had 26 points in week 13, had 23 in week 14, and doesn't have much rushing upside, though he did have the rushing touchdown this week. but he's been fairly accurate. Had 275 yards this week, 350 in week 13. And in week 13 as well, had 22 rushing yards. Week 14 had 7, but the rushing touchdown. So there's a little bit of rushing upside there. The Bengals have some good weapons, and he's just been playing very well as of late. Again, he is an emergency start, but I know there are going to be some teams out there that are coming to the waiver wire very desperate for the fantasy football playoffs, so I'm looking to help out everyone. But that's going to wrap things up. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe. And if you want to play fantasy football in the offseason, please download the Underdog app. And if you're a first-time user, use code FSN. You'll not only get a free pick'em, but you'll get 100% deposit match up to $100. Use my code. I'll also give you guys a free 2024 draft guide. More info on that later. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the content. And again, I'll see you guys in the next one.